I always thought Claire and I had something real. We'd been married 5 years, built a life together, house routines, even tried for a baby a few times. She was calm, thoughtful, a bit private, but I appreciated that. We weren't perfect, but who is? Lately, though, I'd started to notice a shift. She wasn't cold, not exactly, just distant. Conversations were shorter. Her smiles didn't reach her eyes. She'd started going to bed later than me, always on her phone, screen tilted away. When I asked her about it, she'd say it was just stress from work or that I was imagining things. I didn't want to be paranoid, so I let it go. She brought up the trip on a Tuesday evening, said she and some girlfriends were heading to a cabin for the weekend to disconnect and recharge. She was careful with her wording, almost rehearsed. I asked if she was okay. She smiled and kissed my cheek, saying, "I just need a break, that's all." I wanted to believe her. I told her to enjoy herself. She barely packed anything, just a duffel bag and a worn-out paperback. No excitement, no build-up like she usually had before trips. It all felt rushed. The night she left, she didn't even say goodbye properly, just a wave from the car. I stood in the driveway a minute longer than I needed to, watching her taillights fade. That first night, I texted her before bed. "Miss you already?" No response. Next morning, nothing. Not even a good morning. It wasn't like her. I waited all day, checking my phone more than I should have. By evening, I sent another message. "Everything okay?" Still nothing. I told myself she needed space. I tried to convince myself that I was overthinking, that silence didn't mean something was wrong, but the silence was loud. The house felt colder without her in it. I found myself pacing, doing chores just to keep busy. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She didn't post anything online, which was strange. Usually she'd at least upload a photo of a campfire or coffee mug. Her friends didn't tag her in anything either. I considered calling one of them, but stopped. I didn't want to seem controlling. Still, I felt like I was on the outside of my own marriage, knocking on the glass, trying to be let in. By the third day, I was spiraling. I didn't know how to explain it. Just this tightness in my chest that wouldn't go away. The kind you get when you know something's wrong but can't prove it yet. I stayed up that night, barely slept. Every creak in the house made me jump. I didn't know what I was waiting for, a call, a message, anything. But nothing came. I couldn't decide if I was being paranoid or if this was what betrayal felt like in its early stages. Quiet, creeping, and cold. 2 days after Claire left, I heard a knock at the door around noon. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened it, I saw Susan, Claire's mother, standing there, visibly upset. She didn't greet me. Her first words were, "Where is Claire?" I told her she was on a trip with friends, and her face twisted. "She told me she was staying here with you," she said. My stomach dropped. I invited her in, and we sat in silence for a few seconds. Then she asked again, more slowly this time, "She's not here?" I shook my head. That's when she pulled out her phone and showed me a screenshot. It was a text from Claire to one of her co-workers. It wasn't graphic, but it was intimate, too intimate for a married woman. "He makes me feel alive again," the message said. "I just need time to think without anyone watching." Susan said she found it on Claire's tablet, which had synced automatically with her phone. My thoughts began racing. Everything made a sick kind of sense. The secrecy, the lack of contact, her rushed departure. I asked Susan when she found the messages. She said she'd discovered them the night Claire left, when she stopped by their place to drop off something and noticed the tablet open on the table. Out of curiosity, she tapped the screen and saw the conversation. She'd waited a day to see if Claire would come clean. She didn't. I couldn't even react. It was like my brain short-circuited. I'd been sitting around worrying about her safety, thinking something had happened. Something had, just not what I thought. Susan leaned forward, her voice low. "I didn't know who else to tell. I thought maybe you two had worked things out privately, but clearly—" She let the sentence trail off. We both sat there, trying to piece together what the hell was happening. I asked if the texts mentioned a name. They didn't, just vague references. He understands me. He makes time for me. I wish I didn't feel guilty, but I do. Claire had been living two lives, carefully keeping them apart. She never thought her mother would stumble into the truth or that I'd hear it this way. Susan seemed more disappointed than angry. She said quietly, "I raised her better than this." I didn't know what to say. No one prepares you for this. It's not just betrayal, it's humiliation, confusion, grief. Everything you thought you knew starts to unravel. I asked Susan if she'd talked to Claire since. She hadn't. Claire wasn't responding to her either. I suddenly realised I didn't know where Claire really was or who she was with. For all I knew, she could be in another city, in another man's arms, while I sat here trying to make sense of her lies. Susan eventually left, but not before saying, "I'm truly sorry for what she's done." I nodded, still too stunned to speak. After she left, I sat on the couch in silence. All I could hear was that one line echoing in my head. "He makes me feel alive again." Claire came back late Sunday night, suitcase in hand and a forced smile on her face. I watched her closely. She greeted me like everything was normal, even tried to make small talk. I let her speak. When she finally asked how my weekend was, I said, "Your mum stopped by." That wiped the smile clean off her face. She hesitated, trying to play it off, asking casually, "Oh." What did she want? I told her everything, that Susan saw the messages, that she knew Claire wasn't with me, that the truth was already out. Claire didn't respond right away. She sat down and stared at the floor. After a long pause, she muttered, "I didn't mean for you to find out like this." I asked her how long it had been going on. She said, "A few months." That was it. No tears, no drama. Just a quiet confession like she was reading a weather report. I asked her if it was someone from work. She nodded, said it started with long conversations after hours, grabbing lunch, confiding in each other. Then one night it crossed a line. She didn't say his name, and I didn't ask. I wanted to scream. Instead, I asked the one question that mattered. Why? She looked me in the eye and said, "Because I felt invisible." She told me that I'd become so wrapped up in work and routines that she didn't feel wanted anymore, that he listened, made her feel appreciated. I asked her if she ever tried telling me that. She said she did, in small ways. I asked why she didn't speak up louder. She shrugged. "I didn't want to hurt you." The irony stung. She hurt me in the worst way by trying not to. I asked her if she loved him. She said no. It was about feeling seen, not love. I told her that was the worst excuse I'd ever heard. She said she never planned to leave me. She just wanted to feel something different for a while. That sentence broke something in me. I told her, "You wanted to feel something while I sat at home wondering if you were okay." She apologized over and over, said it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, that she still loved me. But love doesn't lie. Love doesn't sneak off and rewrite reality. I told her I needed space. She said she'd do anything to fix it, but I could see it in her eyes. She didn't regret what she did, just that she got caught. There was no yelling, no dramatic exit, just a quiet collapse of everything we built. She went upstairs, and I stayed downstairs feeling like a guest in my own life. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. I kept thinking about all the moments that led to this, all the times I trusted her without question. Every memory felt tainted. She said she didn't want to hurt me, but she didn't care enough not to. The days that followed were quiet, but not peaceful. Claire stayed at her mother's house. I didn't ask her to leave, she just did. We spoke only once after that night, and it was short. She asked if we could talk. I told her there was nothing left to say. She didn't argue. I filed for separation within the week. There was no big announcement, no social media update, just paperwork, cold and clinical, outlining the end of something that once felt permanent. The first week was the hardest. Everywhere I looked, I saw pieces of her favourite mug, the jacket she always left by the door, the scent of her shampoo lingering in the bathroom. But the hardest part wasn't missing her, it was realising I didn't really know her. I kept playing conversations over in my head, trying to find the moment where things changed. Maybe there wasn't one. Maybe it was just a slow drift that neither of us noticed until it was too late. Susan came by once more, a few days after Claire moved out. She brought back some of Claire's things and apologized again. I told her it wasn't her fault. She looked tired, older somehow, like the whole thing had drained something from her too. She stayed for a cup of coffee. We didn't talk much about Claire, just about life and what comes next. Before she left, she said, "You didn't deserve this." I nodded, but I didn't really agree or disagree. What does someone deserve, really? Life doesn't operate on fairness, it just happens. I started going to the gym again, picked up a hobby I'd abandoned years ago, woodworking. It gave my hands something to do while my head caught up. I reached out to friends I hadn't seen in a while, even went out a few nights. I wasn't trying to move on, I was just trying to move. I stopped checking her social media. I didn't want to know where she was or who she was with. That chapter was done, and I wasn't interested in reading the epilogue. Claire reached out once, about a month later. She asked if we could meet. I told her no. She didn't push. That was the last time I heard from her. I don't know if she's still seeing him. I don't care. The truth is, when someone betrays you like that, it rewires something. Even if you forgave them, it wouldn't undo the damage. Some things can't be rebuilt. But I'm not bitter. Not anymore. I'm learning to like the quiet again, the kind that doesn't come with second guessing or suspicion. I'm not the same person I was before she left. But maybe that's a good thing. I've learned that sometimes the worst thing someone can do to you is also the best thing that could happen to you. She walked out, and I found myself standing in the wreckage, not broken, just awake. And I realized I didn't lose her. I let go of what was never truly mine.